I wouldn't wish the depths of the loneliness that I feel at certain times in my adulthood on anybody. As silence and the loneliness weighs so heavily on me now as an adult because it brings back floods of memories of just the isolation I felt growing up as a kid in the foster care system, and it can be deafening.
And whether or not I'm ready to face that, I'm honestly not sure. You guys got 10 seconds.
I started my career as a personal trainer in 2016, and I worked at a commercial gym for a couple of years before I opened my first private training studio that I owned in 2018, and a second location in 2020 right before the pandemic. When I was 2 years old, I was removed from my parents' care and placed into Child Protective Services.
My parents were both drug and alcohol addicts. We lived in a crack house, and it just wasn't a safe way to grow up. Like most foster kids, I ended up experiencing a ton of trauma in the system, and I'm still impacted by that to this day.
Oh, pizza night.
Pizza?
Yeah, pizza night.
I didn't know if I told you I'm starting a nonprofit.
Yeah, what's it like?
Starting it's an after school program for like orphans and foster kids in Boston. Yeah, so we're making a slight career shift.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's
In the evenings, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna keep this open, but yeah, I grew up in foster care.
yeah.
So I just want to give back, man.
Dude, that's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm super great. Oh, you have to tell us more about it.
Yeah, I would love to.
I like your shoes.
Oh my god.
All right, come on, guys. Let's go. Let Jesse work.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.
I'll get shoes.
Little brother's a taker.
Good, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Have a great day.
I love the connections with people. I think for me, like growing up in foster care, I didn't feel very important and I didn't feel very wanted or needed. And when I started as a personal trainer, I did really, really well. And it gave me a sense of like purpose, and it gave me a sense of, I felt good about myself for the first time ever.
For me, the gym saved my life. It was the one consistent place that I knew I could go to where I had total control, and that was everything for me. It gave me a sense of belonging. It gave me purpose. And the thing I think we should do is help these kids find the place where they feel like they belong, where they feel purpose.
What?
We're here. This isn't how I expected this to go. Obviously. I don't care. Right? All right, you want to go down there?
Wherever you want to go. We just want to talk for like, I'm only here for like 24 more hours. We're just trying to capture content.
We'll go down there. I'll change into not gym clothes.
Okay.
Because, you know, I had to do some lunges today.
Oh, I like you.
Josh is hands down the most important person in my life because he was the one person that was there for me. He played the role for me that I'm trying to play for these kids. And so I'm really happy to see him. I'm really happy to see him.
A kid that's in foster care, you don't know what he has. You don't know. So more people involved with him, even just to go bowling, even just to work out in a gym. Maybe they don't turn to drugs. Maybe they don't. All of those things. You can help with all those things. And it's not immediate. It's not next week he'll be fine. It's 20, 30 years from now that has an impact. And the littlest things. It's not always just he needs a therapist or he needs consequences. He also needs positive influences in their life. Period. It's easy to say, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. But if you've never seen anybody who's picked themselves up by the bootstraps, you don't know that that's really possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That was one of the biggest impacts, I think. And I think one of the reasons why our relationship was so impactful on me is because I knew you hadn't had a picture perfect life either. And to me, you weren't just some clinician, some random person that had never been through adversity growing up like I had been going through. And so I looked up to you and I respected you and I admired you and I wanted to be like you. And I saw your beautiful wife and I saw your house near the water and I saw these things. I realized that is possible for someone who comes from less than ideal circumstances. And it made me want to be like you. You gave me a positive male role model when I didn't have one. And it changed the trajectory of my life. And it's why I want to do what I want to do with these kids.
And because I had traveled the path I had traveled from in my childhood, I had the opportunity to do that. Just like you have traveled that path from, the 12-year-old idiot doing stupid things to a respectable human being, you now have that same opportunity. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'm starting this nonprofit to work with foster kids in the Boston area, be a positive mentor. I'm thinking like an after-school program for kids that are either in foster care or group homes. And I want to pick them up after school, help them with their homework, bring them to the gym, teach them how to lift weights.
Just do stuff. You just want to do stuff.
Kids, yeah.
That's good. That's what you should do.
Yeah. I think that having you showed me, it gave me a groundwork. One, it gave me a groundwork on how to become a successful young man, but I also can now, the same way I tried to be like you growing up, now I want to try to be like you in this role where I get to help these kids and be that positive role model that I didn't have until I met you. I want to be able to, pick these kids up after school, help them with their homework, be that one person that they can know that's always going to be there for them like I had with you. Teach them how to lift weights, help them apply to college, help them find work when they age out. Just be there when they don't have anybody else.
One night, I remember being in the group home, and I had been waiting, at this location. I was supposed to be there. I was told by my caseworker I was going to only be there for 2 weeks, and I had ended up being like over 6 months. And I remember I would call my caseworker like day after day, like, hey, have you found a family for me? Have you found a family for me? Like, have you found anybody that wants me? And I remember she kept telling me, like, no, but we're working on it. Like, we're doing everything we can. And I'm like, okay. And I remember one day she showed up with the man. And I was so excited because I thought they had, like, finally found me a dad. And I remember, like, going up to them and just being, like, overjoyed to meet this person. And I remember, her looking at me and being like, this is Fran. And I remember being like, hi, Fran, I'm so, like, nice to meet you. And just feeling, like, so relieved. And she looks at me and she goes, I'm actually going to be leaving. Fran's going to be your new caseworker. And I just remember, like, how horrible that felt. Just knowing how fucked I was and that I was going to be there even longer. And I'll never forget, he looked at me and he goes, I'm going to help you. I'm doing all that I can. I know I've been reading your file. I know everything about you. It's so nice to meet you, James. And I just said, my name's not James. My name's not James.
Starting route to Children's Center of Hamden. At the next light, turn left.
So I'm on my way to the Hamden Children's Center. I'm feeling really nervous. I haven't been there since I was a teenager. I remember going to bed hungry a lot. I remember crying myself to sleep a lot. I remember just wanting to not be here anymore. was probably the worst time of my life, one of the worst times of my life. And I feel I don't feel as vulnerable now, but I still feel like little Jesse inside, really nervous as we're driving around here right now. It's just not a way to grow up, man. It sucks that kids have to live like that.
It's a little bit crazy. You're suddenly blurry now. I wonder if anything was real. All our history's hazy, like driving in the pouring rain. Are we in too deep to heal?
Meatball, you wanna go for a walk?
You like that?
At the end of the day, I'm a success story. I'm not supposed to be where I am right now. I'm not supposed to have graduated high school and gotten a college degree and opened up a small business and made 6 figures. And the only difference between my success and my failure has been discovering fitness and discovering the gym. It's been the place where I've been able to feel like I belong. It's been the place where I've been able to find consistency in a life that changed so frequently. It's given me a career, it's given me a community, it's given me everything I've never had. But I'm lucky, because not everybody discovers their purpose the way I did coming out of the system. You know, I struggled with a lot of the things foster kids do when they age out. I struggled with homelessness. I struggled with substance abuse. I struggled with, you know, finding belonging and finding a community and finding a purpose, and fitness gave that to me. And I'm a success story because of that. You know, statistically, only 3% of college kids 3% of foster kids will ever go to college. You know, statistically, 60% of foster kids will end up convicted of a crime within the first 4 years of aging out. In the state of Massachusetts, over 35% of foster kids become homeless immediately upon aging out of the foster care system. The system is broken, and you can't argue that. And there's the old additive that somebody needs to do something about it, and that's what I want to do. That's the heart of Project F. Is I want to start an after-school program for foster kids and orphans in the Boston area that don't have that one consistent person, that don't have that one consistent place, that are just so focused on trying to survive that purpose is the last thing on their mind. For me, I found that through fitness, and if I can share that with even just one kid going through what I've gone through in my life, that to me is everything. That to me means more than anything I could do as a personal trainer. And I feel like I can do it. I feel like I'm equipped for that. I have a college degree. I have years in social work. I have years of experience in the field, but more importantly is I have that lived experience. I am one of those rare success stories. I am the anomaly. And I know I wouldn't have been there if it weren't for my mentor and if it weren't for the discovery of fitness. And so I'm very blessed despite everything I've been through.